Just let me know when we're good to go. And then you guys tell me how the sound is. I'm wearing a headset because our visualization is going to be more like a meditation. And so I don't want to have to talk too loud if I don't want to. All right. So that should be working. All right, so hi, I'm back. Ooh, I did close YouTube because I could hear it like after me. So I'm jumping into the chat now. Hi. Hi, everybody. I'm so excited you're here. Hi, Lexi. Hi, Joy. Sound is good. Excellent. Hi, Yasmin. Hello, Hadassah. I think I said it right. Oh, and Anna said, thank you for making time for us. Of course, you guys are my thing. Oh, hi. Hi, Casual Saturday. How we doing? Welcome. Oh, I said it right. Yay. I'm so glad you guys are here. Hey, Heather. Hey, Jean. Welcome. As you're coming in, tell me where you're coming in from, because we're going to wait a little bit for people to get in. I'm going to talk for a few and then we'll get moving. Coming in from Texas, we got Ontario, London. Hi. Hi, Colorado. Paris, Florida, Alberta, NJ, Sweden. Oh my God, the Bay Area, NYC, El Paso, Texas, Las Vegas, but from Germany, so you know. Oregon Coast, Brooklyn's in the house. Calgary, hi everyone. Norwich, UK, Portland, Oregon. Oh, I hope you're okay over there, Alexandria. Hey, Deb. We got London in the house. Everyone, welcome. I'm glad that piece is done. And I'm glad you can hear me. So let's talk a little bit about Boundary Palooza, shall we? Some of you I know are just coming in because this was kind of news to you, and you're just coming in for what we're doing today, which is the live. It'll be very relaxing. I hope you're dressed comfortably because you'll be laying down. And a lot of you, so how many of you listening right now who are on the chat have been doing Boundary Palooza? So that is my non-challenge. And most of you know, if you know my work and you know me at all, you know that every year before the Boundary Bootcamp course starts, which is the end of September, we do a whole bunch of free stuff around boundaries. So hopefully if it's something that's good and you like it and you want to learn more, then you join the course. And if not, hopefully you got something really valuable that didn't cost you a penny. So I'm always trying to balance out, you know, how do you be of service and have a business? And I feel like I've kind of got a good balance. People are doing Boundary Palooza. That's so exciting. It's so good. Oh, I'm so glad you love it. Yes. Hey, Joe, how are you? And then we got people from other courses, Crushing Codependency with Mark Groves, which was great. Oh, a lot of you are from that. Hello. I hope you're doing Boundary Palooza too. Yes, that's okay. So Elvis said, you know, everyone in the 14-day challenge, but I haven't watched past the first day. Here's the thing. There's a lot that you can get from reading the social, going in, seeing the comments. Part of it is, even when we do what I call a non-challenge, you're really like putting your stake in the ground to the universe and to yourself to be like, hey, something's going to change because I'm going to change it. So you don't have to do it perfectly. Wherever you are in Boundary Palooza is great. I know some of you are already signing up for the course, which I love as well. This is such an important topic. Of course, in my life, it's always an important topic. But right now, with what is happening in the world, you know, there's been a lot where we're in different situations than we've ever been in before. Close quarters, even with people we like a lot, close quarters for months on end. Wow. What I'm finding with my clients and with women in my Thrive Hive community is that the dysfunctional boundaries they kind of already had, just got super amplified, and there was a light that just got really bright on what wasn't working, because there's such a need to speak up, especially when you're living in small quarters or homeschooling kids or all of that. So I feel like this is a perfect time for Boundary Palooza. It's a perfect time for the course. It's just time, you know, it's just time. And I think that all of us got in the situation where we had um, a pause button that the universe pressed for us. So it isn't like, I don't know that we would have done it. Who could have thought that we could even do what we've done? Hi, you guys who are just coming in, come on in. Welcome. Hello from Maui. How are you? We got lots of Boundary Palooza students here. Welcome. But anyway, there's this thought that I have before we get into what we're doing. And I'm also, a bunch of questions already came in. We took questions from Boundary Palooza. So we're going to be doing it all. Well, hello from Cape Town. Welcome. Morocco, England, Argentina. Wow, we are literally 9 people from over 90 countries are in our non-challenge right now. Yeah, the biggest coffee cup you've ever seen in your life. Hey, it's not coffee, but well, no. Me and Elizabeth D'Alto, I don't know if you guys know her, but we're always, whenever we're on Zoom together, we have matching like 412 ounce cups of whatever we're drinking. Yum. So what I was gonna say about why this right now, about why we're doing this, is that things have changed in a way that maybe we wouldn't have changed them on our own. Would we have been able to pump the brakes in the way that this pandemic has forced us to? And I think for most of us, the answer is no, because who can just stop their life? And usually our lives stop when something bad happens, but most of the time it's something super personal. This was a collective, many things happening. I mean, you know, California, Oregon's on fire right now. I mean, there's many things happening, but the question is, my friend Lara, I think some of you know her work. I call her Energy Lara. She wrote something the other day that I really loved. And it was basically about, she was walking her dog in New York City and she was like, oh, it's starting to get busy again here. And like, I kind of don't want it to. And I don't know that I want it to change. Yes, Leanne, I love Lara's work too. And so her whole thing that she wrote in her blog really got me thinking about, do we want it to go back to normal? And this is a perfect time, and I'll use this visualization to plant some seeds in your unconscious mind about this as well. This is a perfect time to decide that you're not going to go back to business as usual, unless business as usual thrilled and fulfilled you. So if it did, then feel free to go back. But if not, this is the time to decide what you're not going to go back to, because everyone is in a state of a new normal, even if it's temporary. And so much of the time, we have this massive opportunity for growth when we're in some kind of a dramatic or traumatic experience. But we need to consciously harness the opportunity. So some people are saying, I wish we could go back, and I wish that it could be whatever. Me, no going back. There is no going back for me. But how do we harness the mind-blowing power of our intention to have it go forward in a way that actually uplevels the quality of your relationships, including your relationship to yourself, of your daily life? Because the grind, right? Getting up, grinding through the day, collapsing at night, and then getting up and doing it all over again. I don't know. I feel like there's more to life for us than that. So let this moment, let this time that you spend with me and that we spend together today, or that you spend watching this, if it's after the fact, because I know many of you will be seeing this after the fact, I really want you to see this as a pivot moment. right? We can decide that this will be a power pivot in our lives, like, and especially look down the side. If you can see the chat, right? Look on the bottom if you don't know where that is. And if you're posting, please make sure that you're posting to all panelists and everybody, like, and all, right? Rather than just the panelists, because if you only do the panelists, then only me and Team TC will see it. I want you guys, who is up? Just let me know. Just give me a hell yes or yes if you're willing to decide that this moment in time and this moment right now today will be a power pivot. Yes, 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 yes. And let's create the lives, the relationships, the boundaries, because that is the foundation for what we want. Because you so deserve what you want. And in so many ways, we don't even realize that we are standing in the way of us manifesting that in our lives, not in a blaming way, in a loving way and a truthful way, because you know that I love all, like you guys are it for me. I want you to create these lives that thrill and fulfill you because you can and because you deserve it. And the fear that is holding you back right now, you're going to see that shit can be in your rear view mirror if you just let me guide you. If you're just willing to just take the next right action. And today that means being here, fully present, turn off your phone, put up the do not disturb sign, allow yourself to be immersed in this visualization that I've created for you. Listen to the questions. Maybe I'm answering yours. I don't know if you left it in Boundary Palooza or you sent it in. And also, there's all these things I'm supposed to be saying, which I'm not saying, so I'm going to. But Team TC is on with us, of course, everyone, they're amazing. If you have a question that you want to drop in the side, please put some question marks in front of it so it's easy for Team TC to grab it. And in the last like 15 or 20 minutes, I'm going to be answering those questions. I'll be talking a little bit about the course itself, which starts at the end of the month. I'll be at whatever other questions you have, I'll be answering. Understanding that Boundary Palooza, the way that it was designed and everything that we're doing is elevating your awareness about your life, about your particular, very unique boundary struggles. Some of them we can all identify with, and I talk about them, right? Sometimes we say yes when we really want to say no. But the reality is, your boundary blueprint, what is in your unconscious mind, is incredibly unique to you because it's all about your life experience. Right? Nobody is you but you, right? You're the only person on planet Earth with your DNA. You're the only one, and you're the only one who ever will be. So it's understanding that there's no one size fits all. There really isn't. And what's right for someone else is not necessarily right for you. So why so much of the work that I do with you guys is elevating your awareness, because we can't wait to get to the action. Like we can't wait to get to that. I'm bawling out Betty and I cannot wait. But the truth is that you've got to know yourself. You've got to know what is your archetype boundary wise? What is your particular struggles and why? And it's not because there's something wrong with you. P.S. Just so you know, it's because nobody taught you. Right? Which is what I'm doing here. But nobody taught you, just like nobody taught me. We didn't learn it in school. I mean, we didn't learn it in college. We didn't learn it in grad school if you went to grad school. And it is literally, I feel like it's this cosmic, I won't say cosmic because that means the universe did it, but there's an irony to the fact that the thing we need to know the most, nobody teaches us. Which is why sisters got to do it for themselves. That's all I'm saying, which is exactly what we're doing. Okay. I want you guys to get comfy. I also want to remind you before we even get into it that the master classes, so I'm doing a master class, but I'm doing it at 4 different times live on the 16th and the 17th of this month, which is next week, Wednesday, Thursday. And I think both days we're doing 1 p.m. and 9 p.m. Eastern Standard. Someone from Team TC will drop a link if you haven't signed up for that. I would love it if you could join me live, because there's more actual, like we'll have a little bit more time to dive into the content, more teaching, more sort of getting into what's going on for you. The thing with the non-challenge is that I try to keep it short so that you guys can do it, so that people will do it. Because you're not going to spend an hour a day. And also for a non-challenge, I'm not doing something that's an hour a day. But for those of you who are doing it and have been doing it, you see how profound 10 to 15 minutes a day of thinking about yourself, of giving yourself the gift of your own attention and intentions, how powerful that can be. So here we go. We're going to move into getting set up for the visualization. I feel like most of you are here now, so get comfortable. I'm sorry, I'm making noise, but I got to get comfortable too. Okay. Sit in a way or lay down in a way. I hope you have comfortable clothes. I'll make sure you're warm enough. If you need a pillow, grab it. If you need a fuzzy blanket, grab it. I have this, which I love. It's like a mix of oil that smells amazing. So if you have any of that, now would be the time to bust it out. And if you don't, and you've never taken a course with me yet, trust me, if you take Boundary Bootcamp, you will have lots of lavender and other things, because we hit this shit from every angle, from all of our senses, from our surroundings. It's not just what you say. And self-care is not just doing a face mask, right? We consider everything. And the more internal space we create with these things, the easier it is when you start really learning to put your new boundaries in place, the easier it is to do. Oh my God, that smells amazing. So take a nice, long, slow, deep breath. All right, last minute changes, whatever you need to do, do it. I'm going to ask you to gently close your eyes, and we're really going on a journey today. So I'm going to take you somewhere incredibly beautiful, and then we're going to do a full body relaxation, and then I'm going to move into planting some beautiful seeds and having you think about some things, and then we'll come back. So I think we'll probably be gone for about 15 minutes. So you want to be comfortable. I hope you peed before we started. I'm going to ask you to gently close your eyes. You can hold your hand in a mudra if you like it. First finger to thumb is just a universal one. But I'm not a mudra expert, so don't feel compelled. Having your hands open is a nice way to sit or lay down for a long time. I'm just going to ask you to breathe in deeply in through your nose and out through your nose. And with every inhalation, feel your body start to relax. With every exhalation, feel any tension, any constriction, leaving your body with your breath. Take another deep breath in through your nose. And exhale. I'm going to ask you to visualize yourself at the top of a beautiful, majestic marble staircase. And I just want you to see yourself one step at a time, going down, down, deeper, deeper. Imagine that you're floating down the stairs, and at the bottom of the stairs, you see a big, huge oak door. And with no effort at all, you find yourself floating right to the door. And now see yourself opening the door with ease and walking out. I want you to look around and see all of the beauty that is around you right now. You can see green grass. Maybe it's a forest. Maybe it's a beach. But I want you to really be in this beautiful place. You're on this path, and as you're walking down this path, again, it's like you're floating. There's no effort at all. I want you to see a beautiful patch of brightly colored flowers. So just pause. See the flowers. Smell the aroma. Maybe you see a hummingbird just suspending themselves in midair. Allow yourself to be awed by the beauty of nature. Take another deep breath. Now continue down your path and really get into what you see and what you feel. Try to identify the smells around you. Do you smell cut grass? Do you smell leaves? Are you in a forest? Do you smell pine? Do you smell salt air? Like, are you on a beach? And as you continue down this path, you can see in the distance your perfect resting place. So just allow yourself to slowly continue down the path. And when you get to your perfect resting place, what is it for you? Is it a gorgeous bed? Is it 1,000 thread sheets on that bed? Maybe it's a grass couch. Maybe it's a beautiful cozy blanket on a beach. Maybe you're next to a river. You might be in the mountains. You could be in a park. Whatever's the most comfortable, I want you to feel the air on your skin. It's the perfect temperature. If you like the way the sun feels on you, feel that. If you like the way that it feels to be in shade, feel that. Now I want you to actually climb into your perfect resting place. Snuggle up, get completely and totally comfortable. And now that you're in your perfect place, let's do a full body relaxation. So visualize or imagine a beautiful amethyst light coming in through your crown chakra, moving from above to below. Every part of your body that this light touches instantly and completely relaxes. See and feel it coming down behind your eyes, relaxing the muscles around your eyes, releasing. Moving into your jaw muscles, relaxing. Moving down to your neck and your shoulders, all the way down to your arms, your hands, and your fingers. Totally and completely relaxed. And now you see and feel that light moving to the back of your body, relaxing your upper back, releasing your middle back, relaxing your lower back and your buttocks. Just allow your entire back to melt into your perfect resting place. See and feel that light moving to the front of your body, relaxing the big muscles of your chest, moving down your side body to your obliques. And I want you to visualize that healing amethyst light pouring into your entire torso, illuminating all of your internal organs as well, detoxifying and relaxing. See and feel that light moving into your hips, moving down to the big muscles of your thighs and your hamstrings, relaxing your knees and your shins and your calves, your ankles, your heels, your feet, all the way down to your toes. Allow yourself to be completely and totally relaxed. Do a quick body scan. Is there any part of your body that needs your attention right now? If there's any tension left, I'm going to ask you to identify that spot. Take a slow, deep breath right into that area. Visualize that tension breaking up and leaving your body with your exhalation. Continue scanning in every part of your body that needs your attention. Just breathe into that spot and imagine it leaving your body with your breath. And now that you're completely relaxed from the top of your head to the tips of your toes, it's easy for you to visualize with perfect clarity. So I'm going to ask you to bring to mind right now the way that you feel about speaking up, about asserting yourself, about setting a limit with someone, informing someone of a deal breaker, like something that is just not working for you. So where do you feel that? Do you feel constriction? You feel tension? You feel nervous? And now I'm going to ask you to visualize something completely different. So breathe into whatever constriction that thought created and just allow it to leave your body with your breath. And now let's expand your vision of what's possible. I want you to bring to mind any situation that you have in your life right now. Any place where you need to talk true, but you haven't been able to. Any conversation that you've avoided. Even thinking about things that get on your nerves that people are doing, but you haven't been telling them. And now I want you to visualize yourself talking to that person. See yourself smiling. See yourself calm, sovereign, in control of yourself. See the words coming out with ease and grace. You might be saying, I'd like to make a simple request. You might be saying, no thanks, that doesn't work for me. There are so many things you could be saying. But what I want you to remember, what I want you to really conjure in the center of your chest is this expansive feeling. This feeling of being authentic, of being truthful, of being self-assured, being confident while you are in this process. Visualize that there is a light, a bright golden light emanating from your heart, going out so far that you can't even see where it ends. That is your energy. You could be using this bright, beautiful, positive, confident, empowered energy in every interaction in your life. Imagine that it's there for you whenever you need it. Imagine that when you think about having the hard conversation, when you think about saying no, I want you to remember this feeling of expansion, of liberation, of freedom, of confidence. This is completely possible for you. Imagine that your gut would tell you exactly what you need to do, and that you would be so still and silent inside that you would have no problem hearing it. That you would feel the sensation of your gut instinct telling you something and you would know what it means. And it would be so easy and natural to take the next right action. Visualize your relationships more intimate, more harmonious, closer. Visualize what it's like for the people who love you already to more accurately know you, to authentically know you. Because when we can't draw boundaries, when we don't speak up, we don't want to make a big deal, we want to just keep the peace. What we're really doing is depriving the people in our lives from intimately knowing us. And we're depriving ourselves from being known. And ultimately, at the end of the day, no matter what else goes on in life, this is all we want. We want to be loved authentically. We want to be known and accepted for our authentic selves. And the more of a boundary boss you become, the more you open the possibility for that to happen in your life. So let's take one more deep breath here. And I want you to memorize this feeling in your chest, in your body, of liberation, of authenticity, of joy, the amount of bandwidth that you gain back when you're able to master your boundaries will blow your mind. Avoiding conflict is like having a second job. It's exhausting and so incredibly unsatisfying. Imagine if it were easy. You can learn for it to be easy. So let's take one more deep breath in this beautiful resting place, your perfect resting place. Take another look around. Remember how comfortable you are, what it smells like, what it feels like. And now take your time. Slowly, we're going to make our way back to the path. Identify what you smell right now. What is the aroma? Are your feet touching the ground? Are you barefoot? Are you in shoes? What do you feel? I'm, for some reason, always walking on moss. And now see yourself slowly making your way back down the beautiful path. You see the flowers in the distance. A little further along, you see the door. Take your time. Allow yourself to get to the door and open it. And now you see the beautiful marble stairs right in front of you. And now you will be going up and up with no effort at all. Higher and higher, and with every step up, you're feeling more and more energized, more and more in your body. We're going up and up and up until you get to the top of the stairs. And now I'm going to ask you to stretch your hands and rock your feet. And give yourself a full body stretch. And now gently come back to where you are, the room that you're in. Gently open your eyes. Well, hello and welcome back from your visualization. All right, I gotta get my head back in the game, but hi. So were you able to visualize that? Yes, you did. I'm so glad. Oh, Magdalene, beautiful. I want you to remember the feeling. Oh, good. I'm so glad you did. Beautiful. That feeling of liberation, of not hiding, of not being afraid, of not walking on eggshells, not scanning every effing room that you're in to see that everything is okay. Imagine if you could quit that for good, or only use it as part of your superpowers, right? Rather than it using you. Right now, when you're scanning a room to make sure that everything is okay, that's not for you. That's the child within you who walks around afraid and wants to avoid conflict and doesn't want, right? When you do it, you become a psychotherapist, you become a healer of some kind. You know, you're scanning a room. When I'm scanning people's feelings, I'm not doing it without their permission. I'm just seeing things, but it's not out of fear. It's out of interest, right? It's out of curiosity. So imagine that. We did imagine that. Remember that feeling, because it is totally possible for you to do it. Yes, yawning is good. It's so normal. Sophia, she said she started yawning. And Lara, actually, in her work, energy work, talks a lot. It means you're releasing things. So it's good if you're yawning. So allow the releasing to continue. And stay in this space, in this hopeful, right, this uplifting space, that the truth is everything is possible, because you know what? We've never been here before, right? Back to what we were saying, and I was saying at the top, that we have a chance, instead of like all the energy of being like, I need a do-over. Hey, like we all got a do-over, whether you wanted one or not. Here it is. The space that was created because of what we've been going through. So let's just harness the hell out of that to let it be our pivot to a life of liberation. Because really, isn't that what you want? Don't you want to be liberated to do your real life's work? Don't you want to be liberated to have deeply intimate relationships? And listen, I'm not saying you're not doing that, but I am saying the more of a boundary boss you are, there's even more intimacy to be created. There's more knowing, for you to know the people in your life and them to know you even more deeply. I do want to move into the questions. Someone just asked if Boundary Bootcamp is the course itself, if enrollment is open, and the answer is yes. If for that person, terrycole.com/yes. Moving into the question, someone said, why do we feel guilty when setting or resetting boundaries, and how do you stop feeling guilty? Well, you know what? That is a great question. There's so many reasons we feel guilty. And part of it is that we're not used to prioritizing ourselves, right? We've been raised and praised to be self-abandoning codependents. You guys know, if you know me, that I say that because it's true. So now we're redefining what it means to be ourselves. We're redefining what it means to be a good human, a good partner, a good parent, a good daughter, friend, lover. And that doesn't mean having the disease to please, which is what so many of us were taught. As long as you're just nice. You know how they like to say, oh, that person would she'd give you the shirt off her back. You're like, I'm not sure that's good. She'd do it for anyone. And you're like, should we be giving the shirt off our back to anyone? I don't know. So it isn't about being selfish, especially if you don't have another shirt. And that's really what it's about, right? Giving because you can is one thing, but giving because we're afraid not to, right? Acquiescing to what other people want all the time, saying yes when we want to say no. That just makes us bitter. And ultimately, when we're not happy in our lives, you know that it comes out in our relationships, right? You don't think that we actually hide that well. We don't. And we think we do in the beginning. And when you're young, listen, I think for 10 years, I probably did it well. But there's only so long that you can carry that stuff. There's only so long, because then, exactly, Denise. Yes, giving with, will you love me now? I cannot have to perform to be loved, or to think that that is what we must do to be valued. And yet, in my 20s, for sure, I felt like I had to be utilitarian. I had to add value in an active way, not meaning my company, my mind, and my love. That wasn't enough. I needed to be making their life easier, doing all the things, morphing into someone I thought they wanted me to be. I mean, really, when I think back, I'm like, oh my God, you were such a chameleon of just getting into their music, their life, their thing again. And it really was, Denise, that will you love me now? Will you stay now? Like, will this relationship last, or will I stay? Because a lot of times I ended it, but still, there was all of this confusion about it. And it's so exhausting. So what we know for sure, whether you've done Boundary Palooza or you're taking the Boundary Bootcamp or not, is that we do not have to overgive to be loved. We do not have to overfunction to be lovable. When you have good boundaries, your ability to get in equitable relationships, and it's not just that we feel like we have to overgive. There's also a sense of control. Those of you from Crushing Codependency, right? We are trying to hold on to control also by doing all the things, but then we're pissed about it. So it's almost like this, a lot of times it's this circular experience of our own making where you're like, okay, I think I'd like to stop doing that now. Yes, it is an addictive cycle, Susan, it's true. Because we don't want to give up control. Why? We don't want to be vulnerable. It's almost, and here's the thing with control, that shit is an illusion of control. Because when we really get down to it, what do we have control over? Anybody? Ourselves, our thoughts, our words, our deeds, and not even our thoughts, really. But we have control over what we'll do. So be mindful. If you're thinking that this person made me or that person made me feel, the reality is that's not true. We're feeling the way we're feeling because of what we are doing or not doing. It is our choice, Jennifer. That is correct. And yet we find it very, very difficult, So those of you who are in, Boundary Palooza, one of the days we have scripts, which is great. So that's going to help more with the language, getting you going with the scripts. We'll do it a little bit more deeply in the masterclass. So if you're not doing, please do all the days of Boundary Palooza, and we're going to get to that. I did more like script starters and easy sentences because I felt like that was a good way to start. And we're also going to be handling that in the masterclass. So if you're not signed up, please do, because that gives me more of a chance to actually teach. So someone dropped the masterclass link in there if you would, and I would say it, but I can't remember what it is. There's a whole thing in the course itself, though, of course, where we actually workshop the scripts. So that's new this year. The workshop itself is it's a separate thing that we've added onto it, where you're actually workshopping scripts, where you get a chance to sort of role play. We're going to be doing like breakout groups. Because what I find is that even if you have the scripts, it can be really hard. If you don't do any of the internal stuff that you got to do, it'll be really hard to say them and stick to them and have it be effective, because it's the stuff that's in the basement, right? Your unconscious mind, I call it the basement of your mind. And this is really where your boundary blueprint resides. And so we got to go down there with like a little lamp on my head and some pine sol. We got to look in those boxes and see what is happening, because that's the only way we'll understand why we relate the way we do to boundaries. Because I could give you all the scripts in the world. Is Boundary Reset the same as Boundary Bootcamp? No, actually, Patricia, it's not. So we're doing the master classes. That's the reset. And the course itself, that's an 8-week virtual course that starts on the 23rd. So if you want to see what's in it, you can go to, I don't know, Tracy, someone will tell you where to go if you want to see what's in it, but they're separate. But I always, as you know, those of you who've been in my crew for a while, we always do 6 weeks, 8 weeks sometimes, prior to the course itself, of free content, so that hopefully you're whetting your appetite, you want to do more. I'd love it if you took the course, but you will learn lots of stuff whether you do the course or not. Lexi says, I took Boundary Bootcamp 3 years ago now, I think, and I found it took a bit to customize the scripts to sound like me. Exactly. But then once I did, that's when I started using them easily and consistently. Amazing. It does take a minute. And it does have to be your words, because some people, I like to use humor with my scripts, but if that isn't your personality, some people in your life may think you're being sarcastic, even if you're not. I feel like there's gradation when it comes to scripts. The same way that I teach it in the course itself is that not every boundary request is the same, you guys, right? You have some that are like a preference, just a preference, right? So that's not necessarily a deal breaker. You want your preferences, but then you have desires, things that are more important than a preference that really matter to you. And then you have things called deal breakers, things that you're like, no, like this is a full on no. And you need to know that because they're all kind of different boundary scripts. Make sense? Because it wouldn't make sense to use the same one for all of them. So let me get to a sound of last year. Yes. Hold on. I'm moving on. All right. On to the U's. Would love to know your thoughts, Terry, regarding partners that don't recognize they're crossing boundaries by engaging in friendships with other women, including asking them to dinner, lunch, bringing them gifts, offering help, inviting them to events, and sharing intimate details of our relationship with them, all the while not being transparent about it with their partner. Here's the thing. This is something where you have to decide, Angela, is this a deal breaker for you? Because you can't have to try to negotiate that. I imagine that your partner was like this when you got together. So it's maybe not new behavior. So you have to make a decision. If this is a deal breaker for you, then you have to say that. And then that is the boundary conversation you have to say. I've noticed, we've talked about this, and you may not understand it. You may not even see it, but it's really impacting the way I feel about our relationship. And it's really impacting the way I feel about you. So I think that we have to together put our heads together and come up with something. It really matters. Because here's the thing. We want to be in relationship with people who, how we feel matters. If we've trained them that they don't have to consider the way that we feel, and now suddenly we're saying, but now you do. It's going to take a minute, right? Because you have an established boundary dance, Angela, in your relationship already. So I think that for you, for some people, they wouldn't feel that that's a boundary violation because everyone is so different. Maybe for some people, they're very close friends with their exes too, and all of that works for that particular pairing of people. But it doesn't work for you. So that's what's important, is that it doesn't work for you. Denise said, please post link to the 8-week class. So if somebody would do that, that would be great. It's an actual course, but yeah. So anyway, that's my 2 cents on that. So you're not wrong for feeling that way. They're not wrong for taking those actions. This needs to be a coming together and an agreement. What can you live with? Maybe you can compromise. Maybe you get invited to some of those things. Maybe he shares those friendships with you in a way that would make you feel less threatened by them, but it obviously doesn't feel good to you. And that is the part that matters the most. Okay. So someone said, I absolutely love your emails and podcasts. They're always so informative and helpful. Thank you for all you do. I really appreciate it. I have a question. I've been dating my guy for 2.5 years, and I'm finally starting to realize my boundaries. That may sound strange, but I've always just gone with the flow and didn't want to rock the boat. But now things are starting to bother me and I want to get my boundaries heard. But is it too late? It's not. It's not too late, but understand. And I love the way that you phrased it, because you do understand that you set it up this way. So this is like where we give bad intelligence to the people in our life. Like, hey, it's cool. It's fine. I'm no muss, no fuss. You know me. It's all good. When it's not good, because it was most likely fear back in the day that had you not saying anything about the things that were bothering you. So an acknowledgement at some point would be helpful. Like, hey, I've been really thinking about this. And I know that in the past 2.5 years, we've done it this way, but I'm realizing that I would like to do it another way. Are you open to having a conversation? So we have to find a way to open the dialogue with an acknowledgement of like, yeah, I was acting like that was okay. You don't have to say it wasn't or whatever. It's more about opening it up like, but I want things to change. And so can, let's pick a time. Can we sit down and talk about this? This would be my preference. I would like to make a simple request that, whatever it is, right? But it's not too late as long as you use that language. We can't just fully change the dance with no conversation, meaning suddenly being super pissed off about things that never pissed you off before, or at least you never showed that, because the person is going to be like, what are you talking about? Like, what is happening? So I think opening it up with being transparent. These things were okay with me then. And I realize now that I would really prefer it if we did this, or if I had whatever the thing is that you're preferring, that you not share information about us with whatever, because it was a longer email about sharing information. So I hope that was helpful. So Deborah said, confrontation, not being clear on what I need or prefer, or loss of relationship and not being liked. So how do you set a boundary without sounding harsh and with kindness? Well, here's the thing, Deborah. Before you can do that, you've got to get to your fear of confrontation, because it is always possible for you to do it with kindness. The thing that makes us do it without kindness is waiting too long to do it and then sort of doing it as a reaction rather than a well thought out plan. So how do you do it? Think, who are you dealing with? What boundary do you think needs to be set? Buy time. If you need to buy time, that's another way that you can not do it in the moment. If you're not ready, you can say, hey, can we pick this up tomorrow? I want some time to think about it. Or can we pick this up next week? Give yourself a chance to buy time, because that is your right. And sometimes that can help. In the course itself, I teach a 4-part process to be able to do that. So it's a proactive boundary success plan where you're actually taking the steps, especially in established relationships. And then we handle how to do it out in the world without established relationships. But when we're in established relationships with ingrained behavior, we know a ton of stuff about the other person and about ourselves and about our history in the relationship. That can be really, really helpful as to how do you plan to go about having this conversation. So we prepare for it. It's not something that we just barrel into, even though what I find with a lot of people, and a lot of you even saying this in Boundary Palooza and a lot of my other challenges, where you get a little bit of information, and I'm not saying you, Deborah, I'm just saying in general, and we realize, oh my God, I really need to draw this boundary. And then we just want to get it over with, right? We just want to be like, I'm just going to do it. I'm going to just call all the people and tell them to stop giving me unsolicited advice, or whatever. And that, I don't suggest that either. I really think that, listen, you've been behaving this way, acting in this way. If you have dysfunctional boundaries or disordered boundaries, you've had them always. So waiting a little bit longer is going to be okay, until you can do it better, more masterfully. And we don't have to do it perfectly. And we're not gonna, even when you become a boundary boss, there's no perfect. You may never like doing it, right? But you'll have way less fear of doing it. Okay. Alexandra, I have a hard time asking for what I want in fear of sounding selfish and doubting my worth. I fear that someone else may not agree with my boundaries and I don't want the confrontation. Yeah, and her thing was specific about underpaying, or I don't pay myself at all, and it leads to bitterness. Working off the clock. I mean, how many of you feel like you overwork and don't get paid for it? We're not even talking about emotional labor, right? That's the invisible stuff. I'm talking about hardcore work. Do any of you feel like you work more than you're paid to work? Anybody? Yep. Hand raised. Yep. Okay. Yep. Oh, yep. Yes, boundaries and money. And this is specific. This comes down to so many of us who struggle with boundaries. This is a major way it seems so greedy, right? We don't want people to think that we're all about the money, but we need to be about the money, right? Because it actually is unhealthy, especially if you're in any kind of healing arts. Being a therapist who has a dysfunctional relationship to money, yeah, I'm not, saying that from a friend. When I was younger, it is bad for the clients. It's not even like you're doing them a favor. Good, good. I'm all about the money. I'm not ashamed. Nema, right on, do it. It's so important though not to be, and yet there is something. So in that situation, you really want to think about your history, right? There's a whole process. Every time you bump up against something in your life where you go, I don't know why I feel so bad, I can't ask the person or I can't tell them. I had clients who would regularly not put in their expense reports at work, never put them in. Hi, do you understand what I'm saying? Work business, never putting in the expenses to be reimbursed. What the hell? And yet I fully understand why. Now I'm worried they're going to question it. Maybe it was a questionable thing. Maybe I shouldn't have put it on there. It's like, but I don't think if we were looking at this from a heteronormative sort of stance, I've never had a heterosexual male client who had that experience, who was undercharging, who thought that they should get more education before they go for that next level job. But with all of my women, and really, I have had way more women than straight men, but they're always like, maybe I should wait until I get my PhD to ask for that, And you're like, how much more education do you need? It's like valuing yourself though. So back to Alexandra, it's really about looking at why don't you value yourself? What is up with your self-worth? And then really taking small steps to make your self-worth better, which really just starts with treating yourself better, right? Remember, you guys, we set the bar. We set the bar. How we relate to ourselves sets the bar for every other relationship in our lives. So it's incredibly important what you do, how you treat yourself. So if you don't think you're worth paying, people will not pay you. Trust me, people are happy to take your money, All right. All right. Boundary almost boss. I have a question. A recurring theme for me seems to be people knowing they can push my boundaries when I'm tired. They ask me inappropriate questions that I prefer to keep private, like, do you own your house? What happened to your partner, etc. So I try to be aware of when I get tired and to avoid interactions that if to avoid interactions then if possible. But these people are like pariahs. They ask until they get that question answered. And I believe me, it's not in my best interest to answer ever. How do I respond? Part of it is, tired or not, you have to be, the people, right? The people. Remember, you were not required to answer a question. So many of us were trained to be polite above all other things. So we think it's rude. If someone asks us a question, even if the question is rude as shit, we're worried about being rude by not answering it. But you don't need to ever answer a question you don't want to. Kasia Urbaniak, who is, she is a power dynamic expert. I love her work. She has this whole thing. If someone asks you an intrusive question, to question their question, right? So that could look like if someone says, do you own your house? You could say, why would you want to know that? Simple. Why would you want to know that? You could say, why would you ask me that? Also. And usually the people just go, oh, well, I didn't, whatever. They have to admit that they were just being friggin' nosy, because they were, and it's not your job because they're being nosy. You know what I mean? Hold on, you guys. My other computer is about to croak. Hold one sec. Ugh. Hi, wait a minute. While I'm doing this, and I want to say it's so tempting with this question that we're entering right now to just get super stuck on and just want to dial into, hey, would someone do that, right? Why would someone do that? Why would someone say that? Why would someone whatever? Hold on. There we go. Okay. Like when I was younger, it would be almost impossible for me to just be like, all right, they don't know, it doesn't matter why, right? Why am I obsessing about why would someone say that? Because I want them to be wrong, because I want them to be idiots, because I want to justify the fact that I'm so uncomfortable and I don't want to have to defend myself or not answer the question, forget about why. So if someone says, do you own your house or what happened to your ex? You could say, why are you in the market? I mean, Kasha's really funny. She does some really funny type comebacks, which I appreciate and I like because humor can be helpful. But I promise you, if you say to someone, if they go, how did your grandmother die? And you say, why would you ask me that? Most of the time, they will not push anymore. Even if they don't answer your question, right? What you're really saying. And if they go, oh, I don't know, I was just being curious. You could say, well, I don't feel like talking about it. Because think about it. That's like someone admitting like they're morbidly curious about something that could be really painful to you. It is rude, but we don't focus on that. The real win is just don't answer the question. What if they do push? Then you have to push back. If you go, why would you ask me that? And they go, because I'm curious, you can say, I don't feel like talking about it to satisfy your curiosity. It's painful to me that I just lost someone. So a better question might be, how am I feeling? Is that what you meant to say? Well, I feel bad. Would you like to comfort me? Because that isn't it. All right, whatever. You don't have to say that, but if they're pushing likely and no bad, well, maybe. But you know what I mean? If someone says, but why don't you want to tell me? Because your morbid curiosity is none of my effing business. That's why. Were you raised by wolves, person? What is wrong with you? But we're going to stay away from that. Even though I really am still thinking it, like, oh my God. All right, moving on. This topic resonated. So this was day 5 of Boundary Palooza. It's good to know that we don't have to. Oh, the question was, is the only answer to someone who doesn't respect your boundaries to walk away? We don't have to sever relation with those that trample on our boundaries. My next question would be then how to proceed with someone who does that, who's also a high priority. P.S. Your customer service or IT team is excellent. I appreciate the super speedy reply when I was unable to access a link. Thanks. Well, thanks, Team TC. You guys are awesome. Well, here's the thing. So much of the time when we're in this phase, unless you've already taken boundary courses and you understand what the deal is, it's on you to learn the process of drawing healthy boundaries, communicating with clarity and transparency, not caving in, right? And we're going to be handling this later in Boundary Palooza as well. How do you say no and not cave? So if someone's part of it is, are you expressing your boundaries? Right? Because so much of the time we may be like, this person is a boundary bully, but have we sincerely been expressing our boundaries? Or are we do we have that like mental file cabinet where every time they do something, we're like, file that away under selfish a-hole, just file that away under selfish a-hole. Do you know what I mean? So I think it's important that we look at that process. So the next right action would be to verbalize your boundary, but you have to understand, right, where you're at and why are you attracting? Because the whole thing with your boundary blueprint is that it helps you understand why you are relating to your own boundaries the way you are right now. And it's really important, you know? Yes. Safa said, is having boundaries with yourself a thing? It is. And that's actually a whole thing we do, of course, cover in the course, but in real life, yes, how we relate to ourselves. Are we always last on our own list? Do we endlessly say, I'm going to get healthier, I'm going to eat better, I'm going to get up early, I'm going to journal, I'm going to meditate, and then we don't follow through on those things? That's having disordered boundaries with ourselves. And that is something that you can work on, right, for yourself so that you aren't last on your list. But I feel that when we do have just a lot of disordered boundaries, it's hard. It's hard to not be last on our list because we feel like we need to do all the things to, hold on. Ali said, I had an intrusive neighbor ask me in the elevator, do you own or rent your apartment? And I just answered because I didn't have a kind comeback. But here's the thing. We're so worried. It's always the nicest people in the world who are worried about being not nice. You know who didn't give a shit about being nice? Your neighbor, who was like, hey, how much do you pay monthly? Do you own? Do you rent? How much do you weigh? Like, mind your own business, neighbor, And so I would say, well, why do you want to know? Because that would be a good comeback, because that also doesn't even have to be a comeback. You're questioning their question. Maybe they're saying, I'm thinking about buying and I'd like to know what your experience is or something. You may still choose not to share with them, but at least you don't just give up the farm. At least you're not just doing it because they asked. It's like, remember, if nothing else, remember, you are not required to answer just because some nosy person asked you something, no matter who the hell they are. You have a right to your privacy, right? You have a right to your privacy of your thoughts, privacy of your body, privacy of your space. You have that right. And just because someone feels entitled, that doesn't mean you have to go along with it, And that's new. This is a new way of framing it. You may know it intellectually, but when you start really getting into understanding why your boundaries are the way they are right now, so much more will make sense to you. And it's so much easier to change rather than just being like, why can't I do it? I don't get it. Of course, it's all childhood stuff. Denise is like, yes, not allowed to have feelings. Yes, I was not allowed to have negative feelings. And how did that impact me? Of course it did, right? I couldn't be angry. I could only be sad. And how does that impact my ability to draw boundaries when I'm angry? Well, a lot for many, many years. So these are all things that we sort of can learn. But if you just got off without answering that question, and do what people do in interviews. Do you ever see someone who's interviewed who they just want to say whatever the hell they're going to say, no matter what the person asks? That's us too. When I'm in an interview, someone asks me something I don't want to talk about, or I don't feel like it's valuable to talk about, I just answer the question I wish they'd asked. If the person said, do you rent or buy? Say, I want to actually, hold a minute. I want to ask you, what did you think about the new laundry room thing? Like, it's a distraction, or a diversionary tactic, because sometimes that's okay because it's none of your effing business, which we don't want to say. But anything short of that, in my estimation, is still being kind. Okay. Patricia said, my boundaries are good until I'm tired. So I'm working on that. What do you do? What do you do about those who cross your boundary by asking inappropriate? Oh, wait, I just handled that. So you got it. Moving down to Marie's question. What do you do when you set a clear boundary with someone and it's not met? Sometimes in a situation you can't leave. I had a problem with this in my current relationship. Well, here's the thing. It depends on when you say, if you drew a boundary and you said it's not met, you mean that then you set a limit and then that person crossed over that limit again multiple times, is what I think you mean. You have to make a decision for yourself. You have to have the conversation again. Another thing is, we think that we can draw a boundary once and be like, check that off the list. Yay. No, we've got to get that it took us a lifetime to get to where we are. So it's going to take a minute. It's going to take more than 14 days. You can get the basics in the 2-month course itself that you will take with you to go into your life with. You'll have all the tools that you need. But becoming a boundary boss for real, this is diligence, takes time, you know? So my feeling is you have to repeat the boundary. And then at some point you add a consequence if the person continues to go over the line. And that's in the Boundary Bootcamp course itself. We do a whole thing on boundary bullies. How do you handle them? What are appropriate consequences? When do you introduce the consequences? It's a whole other formula that I have because it's not the same, right? When you're dealing with someone who you've never said anything, even if they've been doing this thing for a long time, but they don't know you don't like it, we have to handle that a particular way and at least give other people the opportunity to step up and to listen to what we're saying. You know, if it's people who you've said it before, transparently, clearly, multiple times, then we have a whole different formula of how do we handle those people, you know? Okay, I think that's the last question that I'm gonna get for now. Wow, this was so fun. Oh, welcome to the course. Those of you who are already joining, I'm so glad you are. We still have so much more Boundary Palooza, which is exciting. Welcome, Kaylee and Margot. Yay. So if you're thinking and you want to do it, just go to terrycole.com/yes. Is if you know you're signing up, you're like, this is a lifelong thing. It's worth it. I'm worth it. This is the moment of the power pivot. I say do it. Why not? What do you have to use? What do you have to lose is what I'm saying. Really, frustration, exhaustion, feeling alienated, having the same conversations and having nothing change. Yes. So this was amazing. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much for being here with us. I hope that you enjoyed your new world, new boundary visualization with me. I'm here on Crackpot Farm. I will see you guys later in the comments of Boundary Palooza. Please make sure that you sign up for the masterclass. And I hope that I see some of you on the inside of Boundary Bootcamp on the 23rd. Thank you, thank you, thank you, little boundary bosses in training. Yay. Bye.